A former Meta employee just reached out to me with some documentation about sextortion. I am fuming, like shaking over this. First, let me back up. The topic of sextortion has been all over the headlines this week. Today, the New York Times put it on their front cover. That is because sextortion rates are exploding. Our teenagers, especially boys, are being scammed by a group of West Africans, mostly in Nigeria. They're pretending to be young girls, they're getting nude images from our kids, and then they're demanding money. A man named Paul Raphael really blew the lid on this issue. My interview with Paul is live now. Here's a little clip. Heavy, horrible topic, but something that unfortunately parents need to be aware of and figure out how to protect our children from this and inform our children on this.
Just to put some numbers to this, back in 2021, there were only 139 reported cases of financial sextortion targeting minors here in the US. Just 2 years later, in 2023, that number was 26,000. So we dropped from 139 to 26,000 during that 2-year time frame. During this period, there's been 32 suicides of victims while they were being blackmailed. Almost all.
Through Paul's work as a cyber analyst, he was able to identify public scammer groups on Facebook that are active right now with over 100,000 members. It's in these groups that the scammers are sharing scripts and tips in order to exploit our children. Paul estimates that there are currently hundreds of thousands of scam accounts on Facebook and Instagram who are actively targeting our teenagers. Meta just recently acknowledged this issue, but has not rolled out any meaningful solutions to protect our kids. So this morning, I was contacted by a man who used to work for Meta in a contractor role. He would monitor threats, and he reports and has shared documentation with me that back in 2018, 5 years ago, Meta knew that kids were already getting sextorted on Facebook and Instagram. This is an internal document from Meta called a safety escalation tracker, which shows safety reports over the span of 2 months in 2018. The red boxes show where sextortion is mentioned. Sextortion was brought up 231 times within the 807 entries. Financial sextortion is also mentioned many times, which is what our kids are being faced with today. And I want to flag this threat here, which says, I have investigated this threat. It's not considered credible as the responsible location is Nigeria. He is sending messages to many users. Now, Nigeria is where most of these scammers are currently. So 5 years ago, Meta was already getting reports of sextortion, potentially thousands a year, and they knew about the link to Nigeria. Yet they have continued to let these scammers exploit our children. There are so many ways that Meta could have stopped this years ago. And let's not forget that dozens of teenage boys have taken their own lives while they were getting sextorted on Meta's platforms. Like Jordan DeMay, who took his life just 6 hours after being contacted by the fake Instagram account. I spoke with Jordan's dad, John, recently, and every parent should hear his story. Jordan died years after Meta already knew this was happening, and kids continue to die. I'm going to leave you with a clip from January's Senate hearing because I think Senator Lindsey Graham said it best.
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands. You have a product that's killing people.